What happens when a desperate girl, sold into a life she never chose, spends one forbidden night with a powerful CEO who becomes obsessed with her very essence? Dive into a whirlwind of passion, betrayal, and shocking twists that will leave you breathless. Subscribe now to unlock this gripping tale and more exclusive stories that ignite your imagination. In the heart of a crumbling city, where neon lights flickered like dying stars, Lila Monroe, a girl of barely 20, stood shivering in a threadbare dress, her emerald eyes dulled by hunger and despair. Born into poverty, her life had been a relentless storm of hardship, her mother dead, her father a drunk who gambled away their last pennies. When he sold her to Victor Kane, a ruthless businessman with a penchant for collecting broken things, Lila's world shattered further. Victor, with his cold smile and iron grip, promised her a gilded cage, food, shelter, and safety in exchange for her obedience. But Lila's spirit, though battered, refused to break. She was delivered to Victor's opulent penthouse, her heart pounding as she stood before him, his eyes raking over her like she was a prize horse. That night, however, fate threw her a curveball. Victor, called away on urgent business, left her alone in the penthouse, instructing her to wait in his private lounge. Exhausted and overwhelmed, Lila wandered into the wrong room, a dimly lit suite where Ethan Blackwood, the enigmatic CEO of Blackwood Enterprises, was staying for a clandestine meeting. Ethan, a man whose name alone could silence boardrooms, was a vision of power, tall, with piercing gray eyes and a jawline sharp enough to cut glass. He was there to finalize a deal that would cement his empire, but when he saw Lila, trembling and lost in his suite, something shifted. Her vulnerability, paired with an unyielding fire in her gaze, stirred something primal in him. Mistaking her for a guest, he offered her a drink, his voice low and magnetic. Lila, too tired to explain, accepted, and their conversation flowed like a river, easy, unguarded, electric. One drink became two, and two became a night of stolen passion, where Lila, for the first time, felt seen, not as property but as a woman. Ethan's touch was fire, his whispers a promise of freedom she'd never known. He tasted her fear, her courage, her raw beauty, and it consumed him. By morning, Lila was gone, slipping back to Victor's world, leaving Ethan with nothing but the scent of her on his sheets and a burning need to find her. When Victor returned, he sensed something amiss but dismissed it, tightening his hold on Lila with lavish gifts and veiled threats. Days passed, and Lila's night with Ethan haunted her, a fleeting dream in a nightmare life. Meanwhile, Ethan, a man who never chased, turned the city upside down to find her. His obsession grew, not just for her body but for the spark she ignited in his jaded heart. Using his vast resources, he traced her to Victor, discovering the sordid deal that bound her. Fury lit his veins. Lila was no one's to own. He confronted Victor at a high-stakes gala, where Lila stood at Victor's side, a vision in a sapphire gown, her eyes meeting Ethan's across the room. The air crackled with tension as Ethan, with calculated charm, outmaneuvered Victor, exposing his shady dealings to the elite crowd. Victor's empire began to crumble, but he wasn't one to go quietly. In a desperate bid to keep Lila, he revealed a chilling truth. Lila's father hadn't just sold her. He'd signed a contract making her Victor's legal ward, a twisted loophole that kept her tethered. Ethan, undeterred, vowed to free her, but the cost was steep. Victor, cornered, unleashed his final card. Lila's younger sister, Mia, was in his custody, hidden away as leverage. Lila's heart broke. She'd thought Mia was safe with relatives. The revelation shattered her resolve, forcing her to push Ethan away to protect her sister. But Ethan wasn't a man to be deterred. He dug deeper, uncovering Victor's network of corruption, including ties to a human trafficking ring. In a daring move, Ethan orchestrated a sting operation, working with law enforcement to raid Victor's secret estate. The night was chaos, gunfire, betrayal, and Lila's desperate search for Mia in the labyrinthine mansion. When she found her sister, frail but alive, Lila's relief was short-lived. Victor cornered them, his rage unhinged, but Ethan intervened, taking a bullet to protect Lila. In the aftermath, Victor was arrested, his empire dismantled, and Lila and Mia were free. Ethan, recovering in a hospital, refused to let Lila slip away again. He confessed that night had changed him. Her strength, her heart, her very taste had rewritten his world. Lila, wary but drawn to him, hesitated. She wasn't the naive girl anymore, she'd seen too much, fought too hard. Yet Ethan's persistence, his willingness to bleed for her, cracked her defenses. Months later, Lila stood on the balcony of Ethan's mansion, Mia safe and thriving in a new school. Ethan joined her, his hand brushing hers, and for the first time, Lila felt not like a pawn or a prize, but a woman choosing her own path. Their love was no fairy tale, it was raw, scarred, and hard-won, built on a night that neither could forget. As they kissed under the stars, Lila knew she'd never be caged again, and Ethan knew he'd found the one thing his empire couldn't buy, her heart.